looking back at it, maybe I was tripping on New 52. Let's talk about it. Ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Left Eye E.G.O. I am the double whose door is always open. Gandalf, not the gray or the white, because I'm all black. Jordan LaForge, captain of this enterprise. I am Left Eye E.G.O. This will never get old, ladies and gentlemen, ever. And I am joined by the man that is personally responsible for my name. Straight up, guys. I will one day show you the video that spawned the great Left Eye E.G.O. I am joined by the man, the myth, the legend, Accipiter. Good sir, how are you doing today?
Great. Thanks for having me. I mean, I'm getting tired of the intro, but that's just me.
No, it's because of you that there is an intro. Okay, I wouldn't even have a name, guys, if it wasn't for Accipiter. Okay, I'm just saying, like he's upset because of him being the reason for this. Okay, that's all I'm saying.
It blew up into something.
It really did. And
that is a neon sign with the name on there. My God, you really let this thing get to your.
I did. He's really upset because he's like, I should have expected this from him, and I'm upset that I was right. And he's seeing it in real time, guys.
Yes, it really is.
He remembers when I was right-eye humble, guys.
Wild.
Yes. All right. So, guys, we're going to be talking today about it's an often maligned run of comic books from DC, and we're going to kind of give you a history, its release, its reception, and kind of how it was looked upon. And I could think of no better person to discuss this with than Accipiter. He's pretty knowledgeable when it comes to his comics as well. Man majored in art history, so he ain't no dummy. So anyway, first things first, the topic we're talking about is the New 52. It was a run of comics from DC, and it started around 2011, but I think they made the announcement maybe a little time before that. So, Accipiter, for the people that are just getting into comics, maybe don't know a lot of comics or don't understand why this was such a big announcement, can you take them through what actually happened to get DC to the point of the New 52?
Yes. So it's really a result of the Flashpoint story, which I'm sure everyone knows at this point.
Break it down to us like Eli 5, bro. Eli 5.
Yeah, they even have a movie on it, and the recent Flash movie seems like it was, even though I didn't see it. But Flash,
it was better than you think, is all I'm saying. It was better than you think.
But yeah, and essentially the story, Flashpoint, Barry Allen decides to go back in time to save his mother. And then long story short, it's Reverse Flash screwing up his whole timeline. And because Flash traveled back in time, he changed the history of DC. So they used that to make a whole revamp, relaunch of the DC universe as a whole, which resulted in New 52. And from there, New 52 is pretty much they released 52 new titles across the board, all starting with issues 1.
So yeah, I believe it dropped, or they made the release on August 31st of 2011.
Yeah.
So I mean, first things first, what were your thoughts when you heard about the New 52 and when you saw like it first come
out? My initial thoughts, I was actually excited. I mean, up until that point, I didn't read a lot of comics, believe it or not.
Me neither.
I started collecting Superman, mostly Jeff John runs. It was like one of those, I went to a comic book store, and I was like, you know what? I want to start collecting something. I'm into Superman. I talked to the guy behind the counter. I was like, so what would you suggest? And he's like, here, try this story. I think it was, what was one of the first ones? I think The Secret Origin that Jeff Johns did.
Okay.
And from there, it turned into obsession, as you know.
Agreed.
So that's all I do is collect. So anyway, so I was really excited about this because it's starting from scratch, and I want to know some of the characters I didn't really know in DC at the time.
Okay.
And it seemed really intriguing to me. Starting brand new, I didn't have to be like, where do I start? I don't know where to start. So this was a starting point for a lot of people. It
Yeah.
still is, I feel like.
Yeah. I mean, truth be told, same with me. I mean, I hadn't been in the comics at that point. And it was just like, I just heard the news. I was like, oh, they're doing new comics. I'm like, oh, okay, this is great, because they always try to do, they'll do a number one issue where they try to tell you the story all over again, all over again, all over again. So I'm like, okay, so, I thought it was something similar to what Marvel does when they can't figure out what to do with Spider-Man or Nova or the rest of them. They just turn to the teenagers again and they start it over. And
Yeah.
it's kind of like,
And I
I
initially
was
thought
like,
it
oh,
was kind of like the Ultimate Universe.
right. And to be fair, the other thing with that I was doing was, because I didn't know how to collect comics or even what I wanted to read, I thought that I wanted to read what everyone else was reading. And Comic Book Man, I think, was out at this time. So they're saying, oh, you got to get Spider-Man 300, or, oh my God, the holy grail of the first ever Superman issue, which you'll never be able to afford, but this is what it looks like. I'm like, oh my God, I have to collect, the first sighting of John Stewart and Green Lantern. And I was like panicking, trying to figure out like all these comics that I think I need to buy.
Yeah.
And I'm like, they're only worth that much because that's how much someone's willing to pay for it, because they remember the moment it gave them. And I'm like, I haven't read these, so they don't mean to me what they probably would to you. So I can look at this New 52 stuff and I can start right here. And the other thing also was like, they had a lot of, they didn't seem like gimmick runs, but they were like, hey, 3D holographic what ifs. Like, what if Zod defeated Superman? There was like a cover for that. Or what if the Joker had a daughter? There's a comic. And I was buying those. And I'm like, yo, man, you guys are stupid. Cool. I don't. This third reprinting of Superman Unchained #1, the 3D holographic, it's gonna be worth
that was the
money.
whole villains era, yeah.
Right. You were thinking like, man, y'all some suckers for missing out on this. So I think that was my initial reaction to it when it came out. Yeah. And I will say, how did you feel once you figured out what it was when they went that it was a hard reboot? What was your reaction then? Because guys, they rebooted everything. I mean, we're talking Arthur Curry without Mara. We're talking.
Well, no, he was married to Mara in it.
Not the beginning.
I thought he was.
No, because that was the Throne of Atlantis and all that stuff. Like, that's New 52. They weren't together.
I could have sworn.
At least when the story started, from what I can remember. We'll do that.
Yeah.
All right. I'll say this. Ollie was not with Canary. He was not with Canary.
Yeah.
Black Canary. We had Clark Kent without Lois Lane.
Yeah.
And there was no Bat and the Cat. Like, that was non-existent. He was pretty much by himself. So guys, when they rebooted things, I meant like they rebooted everything. Relationships, enemies, everything got rebooted completely. And so from that perspective, how did you feel then?
Yes, yeah, because when I initially, like you were talking about earlier, I initially thought this was like the Ultimate Universe, like Marvel, where it's like, this is just off to the side, not really in the main continuity. So when I heard it was a hard reset, I was a little nervous about it. I'm like, well, what are they going to do with Superman now? They're going to make him like, evil or some other shit that they always tend to do because he's boring or whatever. So yeah, I at that point I was definitely extremely nervous. But as you read on, you start to like some of the choices they make, and a lot of the choices you're like, what the hell were you thinking? So I mean, it was a lot of ups and downs for New 52. Obviously, that's why we're having this discussion.
Yes, I will say, guys, the general consensus, once people found out that it was a hard reboot, it was kind of universally maligned in that regard. I'm not gonna lie, I had Superman Unchained #1, the 3D holographic, right? The minute I saw that Clark Kent was writing for a blog and didn't write for the Daily Planet, I closed the book. I opened the nearest trash bin and inserted.
Oh man!
I said, I'm done.
That was a weird choice. Absolutely.
It was because you're just like, hold on. I was like, I know we don't really read newspapers like that, but a
Yeah.
blog. Like, is this what we have lowered ourselves to, guys? I cannot believe this is ridiculous.
But that
And
was the point. They were trying to do it within our
and
time at the time.
and and that's what it was hard to understand because we thought it was like you were going to reboot us back the time frame, kind of like watching Batman 1989. You're not sure what year it is. It's somewhere between 1991 and 1947, someplace between there, but you don't really know. And when they tried to make it current for us, it was kind of jarring, even though it should have been something that we expected and kind of wanted at the time. And so, guys, it was kind of universally maligned for its disillusion of a lot of the relationships and nemesis that they would have normally had. And I think what by you said 2017, they had to concede like, oh no, it's not the main universe. It's the 52 universe.
Yeah.
Explain what was going on, how they got out of that.
From what I remember, essentially they were just taking the stories from New 52, the ones that they liked, moved it over to Rebirth, and then essentially just wiped New 52 and was like, oh, this didn't really exist. This is just a thing, a blip in time.
Here's the thing. In defense of the New 52, they were trying something that was pretty bold that they hadn't done before. And that was try to make the characters younger, relatable, and give a starting point for people that were just getting into comic books, which essentially was guys like me and Accipiter. And I will also say that they did have some great characters and some great stories. Accipiter, like what storylines and what characters did you enjoy specifically from the New 52?
From what I remember, Animal Man was phenomenal. That whole run, Jeff Lemire, the Red, and all that other stuff. That was one of the good ones. Aquaman, Jeff Johns' run was really good. I did like Action Comics Superman with Grant Morrison. Grant Morrison's hit or miss with me with his writing because, as you know, it could be
he can be
very convoluted, hokey. Yeah, I mean, did I see what he was doing? He was trying to click to the classic Superman, almost like Golden Age Superman. And then
that's not easy to do.
No, it's not. And then he kind of put him through like if you're reading a 60s comic. It was very, very weird.
Trippy. That sounds very trippy.
But there were some good stories with that. Batman, obviously, we know that Court of the Owls was great.
Explain Court of the Owls to people that do not know. I mean, honestly, guys, if the next Batman movie, whether it is part of James Gunn universe or not, is probably going to include the Court of Owls, and it was one of the biggest things that hit the New 52. Go ahead and tell everyone what that was.
Let's see. So the Court of Owls was Gotham had a secret society, like the rich, pretty much the Illuminati for Gotham.
Pretty much.
That ruled secretly, obviously. But they've been leaving hints of their existence. They had a whole poem that Batman knew of when he was younger. He didn't understand why.
Awesome. Yeah.
I can't remember how he initially started his detective work with that. But essentially, they start wanting to take over Gotham because it's getting a little too much. Batman can't handle it. Batman is obviously not saving it, so they're going to do it themselves, and they're going to kill everyone, all the rich and famous people. So then you have the Talons, which were reanimated corpses, dead people. Corpses. I forget the main one. My God, it's been so long.
It's not Cobblepot, but it's
but
he has it.
I think he was related to Cobblepot, which essentially was related to Dick Grayson in some weird way they did it. But it's really a heck of a story.
The character that I'm the most thankful for from the New 52 was Red Hood. I like the fact that if you pretty much a lot of people have seen Under the Red Hood, it's basically what happens after Jason Todd is put down by the Joker, and he gets reanimated and goes pretty much on a revenge tour. And so you would think that of all of the Robins, one would have the bad luck, and it's Jason Todd. And so after that movie, which is awesome, by the way, you don't really see that much of him. I think he's in bit parts when I've seen him pre New 52, but in New 52 he comes back, and the art is phenomenal. The writing by Scott Lobdell is top tier.
Yeah,
but yeah, he winds up being a part of a team with Starfire and Arsenal. And it's basically him trying to sort out his life with people that are kind of on the fringes of their own society. So it's called Red Hood and the Outlaws. I bought just about every volume from that entire New 52 run, and they even kept him along as an outlaw into Rebirth when he gets teamed up with Bizarro and Artemis. Weird, I know, but they make it work. It is actually a great run, and we have New 52 to thank for that, because they actually fleshed out his personality, and the fact that he's not doing all this out of anger anymore. He's actually trying to do what's right, but he's like, I still like these pistols, and if I have to put someone down, I'm gonna do it. Accipiter has a newfound mission in going back and realizing how important New 52 is. Please tell me, sir, what that mission is.
Well, pretty much, I just want to read the whole of New 52. I collect trades, so I'm trying to get every trade of every New 52 possible. And then the ones that aren't in trade, I'll just try and get the single issues at that point. But I mean, it's one of the reasons I love anime is there's a start and an end. You see a character actually grow to their full potential, maybe even having kids, and it's over. There's not a continuation, repeats, all this other stuff. At least with the New 52, there is a true beginning and end. So I never got to finish it all, and I never read all the titles. So I kind of want to do it. This is what I have, if you could see it.
Wow.
So far.
Well, that's not bad. That's a lot. Yeah,
it's getting there.
My man is on the journey of a lifetime now, but I looked at his list, and it's actually it's pretty good. So guys, this is my man's mandate. I can't wait to see how far he gets on this and when he concludes. So if you are just getting into comics, don't know where to start, I would try some New 52. It goes from like the very beginning of things, and just read it as it progresses. And if you don't like it, that's fine. You can hop on another character or jump into Rebirth. But I think that New 52 had some great stories to tell on there, and it's definitely worth it. So guys, check it out, or let us know what you think about what comics you like for New 52 and whether or not you like the idea that they're trying to do. But for now, this is Accipiter, the man on a new mission. And I am E.G.O, guys, and we are out.
Mm-hmm.